So what helps you maintain this resilience, which is ultimately what you need to get hit down 7 times and get up 8?
So resilience actually to me is the way that I was brought up. So as a founder, I have probably more resilience than other people, I believe, because I actually lost my mum when I was quite young. And she passed away from lymphoma Hodgkin's disease when I was about 8 years old. And I always tell myself that the worst things that happen in business aren't as bad as losing your parent when you're 8 years old. And I think that's the leveling for me. That's every time I'm going through a shit situation and experiencing something really bad within the business, I just think, well, I'm still alive and I'm not going to have to go through what I did with my mum, and it'll be fine. And I think having that perspective for me has been what has allowed me to be super resilient, because I put it into perspective and understand what life is about. Yeah.
Interestingly, I was chatting to Sam Knight not too long ago about this exact topic, and he had exactly the same framing, which was any problem you have, it's not as bad as losing your parent. And he then said that limited him in terms of how he empathized with his team. And because he would almost project it onto his team, saying, well, you have a problem firing someone, it's not that bad, no one's dying. But actually it's still challenging for them.
Yeah.
And so maybe can reframe the question, which is, how do we help others build resilience in the team? Because everyone has to be resilient with constantly changing directions and constantly getting hit and knocked down 7 times to get up 8 as a collective. So how do you as the leader instill that in others?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually one of our core values. And I think the main thing that comes with this part of resilience is not being afraid to fail. And we won't chastise you for failing. But if you fail again on the same thing, you need to learn from those mistakes, essentially. So I think the interesting ways to answer this question is all around empowering someone to actually first experience what it is to have failed or done something wrong, to then know that they should learn from their mistakes. And if you don't fail, then you're not doing your job properly. If you're never getting that kind of real-time feedback of what you could improve next time, people either aren't being honest with you, or you're kind of living in this little bubble. And we're experiencing this firsthand in the difference in culture of actually working with a massive banking organization and us. But I think working with large corporates is where this incessant fear of failure has just taken hold, and it created so much inefficiency because everyone's passing the buck. Because if you fail, you won't get promoted. People getting in the room together, and even though, say, something is red or on fire, it's nah, it's green, it's all good. When you go through the red, amber, greens or whatever of your workflow, you're never you're always too scared almost to say that something's wrong and try and get some help on it and build that resilience as you fail. Because again, you just don't build it if you don't fail.
But then what I've just connected is that as a CEO, you still have to have this confidence and assuredness and instill that with everyone else that everything's good, you're fundraising, right?
Yeah.
There's a balance between you want to share about your failures, right? At the same time, you can't share too many failures because you don't want everyone's confidence to get knocked and them start stressing.
Exactly.
But then it's also one of the values. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in leading by example, and I feel like you are too. That is such a difficult thing to balance.
As long as you can always explain how you've learned from those failures and make that as public as possible, you always have to have the next plan. We failed on direct customer distribution. We had 2 high payback periods. We spent way too much money on advertising. We weren't acquiring efficiently. So we needed a way to acquire efficiently. We learned from that mistake And we now pivoted the entire business to moving into this embedded world. So we had that follow-up plan of saying, okay, well, we've learned from this. We know what the next actionable outcome is. And we're going to lead by example by telling you about our failures, like being super honest about it, but saying that we've learned from that. And we're now moving on to this next phase of the business to acquire customers efficiently and make sure that we've actually patched that problem that we had historically.
Don't just come with a problem, come with the problem, the learning, and then a potential next step.
Exactly. That's it.